Hey, hi, welcome back to the series of automotive sessions. I am Tota Krishna Hema, your automotive expert. So today we would like to discuss about APQP, that is Advanced Product Quality Planning, in detail for the most slides. So what is this APQP? Advanced Product Quality Planning. So if you see this, this is one of the 5 automotive quality core tools. So APQP is a structured process intended to ensure customer satisfaction with new products or processes. APQP is a planned activity with a clear understanding of customer needs and will ensure meeting customer expectations. What are APQP fundamentals? So first thing is like we need to select a team. A team should be a cross-functional team or it involves multiple teams. Okay, and the second thing is we need to define the scope of the project or the product, that is that is whatever the customer is expecting, and with respect to design, with respect to testing and all, we need to define the scope, and then we need to establish the communication between the teams. So the next thing is whenever our team member is not having enough skills, so that means not enough competency, then that's when like we need to provide training to that particular individual to develop his or her skills to maintain the competency. Next thing is simultaneous engineering or the parallel engineering. So here, if similar to MPP, we will have the Gantt chart, and we will have the parallel activities to be planned, which is similar to the product planning. So the next thing is control planning. Control plans are of 3 types, that is prototype control plan, pre-launch control plan, and production control plan. So we need to write the descriptions of the control systems and further parts and the processes. So the next thing is concern resolution. So product, which is product design document, and processing concerns as they arise. So it is like applying discipline, problem solving methods as appropriate. So this is concerns resolution, and the next thing is product quality timing plan. So as I said before, like simultaneous engineering, so this parallel engineering will be supported with the help of the Gantt chart or the product quality timing plan. So what are the 5 core phases of APQP? That is, first one is plan and define a program. This comes with the concept phase, and the next thing is product design and development verification. So this is with respect to product, and the next thing is process design and development verification. The next thing is product and process validation. Both 2 and 3, in 2 and 3 we will have a development and verification together, but in 4 we will have a validation of 2 and 3. So fifth point is like feedback assessment and corrective action. So it is easy to remember. First thing is plan, the next thing is product design and development, the next thing is process design and development, and the verification also. So in fourth one, 2 and 3 validation, and fifth one is collecting feedback and assessing it, and deriving corrective actions out of it. So what are the phases in PDCA approach? So plan to check act approach. So phase 1 is in technology and concept development. So in this thing, like after planning, like we will have 2 and 3, that is process and product development and verification activity. So after this do, then we will have product and process validation, and we will have in after checking, like we will have validation is nothing but checking. So after checking we will have continual improvement. Continual improvement is a phase 5, and as per the continual improvement process we will find out the RCA behind the problems which are identified in this phases, and we will come up with the improvement plan. So that improvement plan we need to implement in the next phase of the product, or in the same product or similar product, or we need to collect all that lessons learned together, and we need to act accordingly. So this is quality planning and timing chart. So as I said, which is similar to MPP or the Gantt chart, like we need to develop a quality planning in a way like which is in sync with the product plan. So along with the product planning activities, like these to be included and as a part of MPP if you are developing it together. So it's like you'll have concept development, program approval, prototype, pilot, launch. These are the phases of the product development. In that, we will have the 5 phases of the APQP, that is planning, product design and development, process design and development, product and process validation, and production or the production planning. Because after this all, when launch happens, like when it goes for the mass production, so altogether in between, like we will have feedback assessment and corrective action. In all phases it will be there, so that is the reason it is given as a last one. That means it is not a never ending activity kind of thing, so that's the reason it is given like that. So what about the phase 1, that is plan and define program? The purpose of this phase is to ensure customer needs and expectations are clearly understood. In planning and defining the quality program, it is essential to do all work with the end customer in thoughts. So it's like what is customer actually expecting, and we need to consider all that, all these myths, all these ideas. You need to think in the shoes of customer. So what are the inputs here is like if you are individual product development company or OEM, then you need to do the market research and historical quality information, or the similar projects which you did before. So these are all things you need to consider, and you need to collect the voice of the customer. So the end users words you need to take into consideration. The next thing is like business plan and the marketing strategy of your company, and process or product benchmark data, process or product assumptions, product reliability studies. These all will be considered as inputs here. So what are the outputs here is design goals, reliability and quality goals, preliminary bill of material, that is BOM, preliminary process flowchart, that is PRC, a preliminary listing of special products and processes characteristics. So product quality assurance plan and management support. So here if you see, most of the things are preliminary. Preliminary is like a basic thing like which undergoes changes in its life cycle. So here it is like we need to put a document for bill of materials, a document for process flow chart. We need to define our initial things kind of, and which undergoes changes in the next phases of the product development. So these are the planning inputs in detail. So it is like voice of the customer includes the complaints or the recommendations of the similar product which you have developed before and released it to the market. And if you are newly launching, then you need to conduct a market survey. You need to collect the customer voice through customer interviews and surveys. So regulatory requirements. So if statutory and regulatory requirements varies from one country to another country. So you need to consider like where is your launch country. So that country you need to consider, and you need to find out the regulatory requirements of it, and you need to implement in your product. So you need to consider it as a requirement to your product. And the next thing is market test reports. So the market surveys, customer interviews, customer service, market test reports, and competitive product quality studies. So everything like you can't do it from your end. It is like when you burnt your hands, okay, then only you will know the pain, right? So the thing is like you should not do in that way. Like if someone burnt their hands, like you need to consider that data as well, right? So the same way we need to consider the similar product which is there in the market, and what all the features it is giving, and what all the market analysis of that product, like how the customers are buying the product, what are the pros and cons of the product. So these all things we need to consider. And next thing is internal customer data. Then we need to have, like if you have a customer, external customer data is an end user, but internal customer, if you are a supplier to the OEM, you are developing a product like for example headlights, or headlamps, or you are developing an infotainment product, or you are developing any other, like any other ECU in the car. Then you have to collect the internal customer data. That means you need to get the reports about your OEMs, like your warranty reports and return analysis, like how many you got as a return, and how many of them will cover into the cover in warranty, like these all things we need to consider, and capability indicators we need to consider, problem resolution results, reports, and the customer plan returns and rejections. So these are all things we need to consider in case you are supplier to a OEM. So the next things are like, business plan and marketing strategy determines like targeted customers, key competitors, potential constraints on the project timing, cost, investments. So these all things. So product process benchmark data will provide data that can be used to establish product or process targets. So product or process assumptions, like we need to consider like product features, technical innovations, advanced materials, reliability assessments, new technology, and these all things. So product reliability studies is like frequency of repair, how long the product can withstand without without any repair kind of. So replacement time period for components and results of long-term reliability or durability tests. So the planning phase outputs are like design goals, like measurable design objectives based on an interruption of the voice of interpretation of the voice of the customer, and the reliability and quality goals. So here it is like, how long your product will function without any repairs, that we need to consider. And what about the quality is like, it is meeting the customer requirements, so based on the customer expectations. Example, no safety failures, that is or returns per thousand, that is parts per million. So these all ppms, these all things we need to consider. So then preliminary bill of material, that is as I said, based on product or process assumptions. Preliminary process flowchart, that is developed based on the preliminary BOM and product or process assumptions. Preliminary special product or process characteristics, here we need to identified by the customer, identified by team knowledge of process and products, and similar parts FMEs. So this all we need to consider to get the process characteristics or the product characteristics, if there is any additional characteristics kind of. So these are another few planning outputs are like product quality assurance plan, or this is like, product assurance plan, which will have the program outlines of the outline of program requirements, quality goals, assessment of new technology, complexity material, packaging, manufacturing requirements, or use of FMEAs, that is failure mode and effect analysis, development of preliminary engineering requirements. These are all things we need to consider for the quality assurance planning. So next thing is management support. So obtain management commitment through participation in product quality planning meetings, updated at conclusion of every phase on status of cost, timing, and concern resolutions, and confirmation on staffing requirements to support required capacity. So phase 2, we have completed phase 1. So phase 2 is like product design and development verification. So the purpose of this phase is to develop design features into nearly the final form of the product. Product quality planning team considers all design factors in the planning process to consider that the final product must meet customer expectations. The design factors must be taken into consideration even if the responsibility for design is owned by a customer, owned by the customer. So even this is like, design freezing phase kind of, okay. And you need to freeze the design, you need to develop accordingly, and we need to verify the product as well. So these all things comes under one umbrella. So inputs are like outputs. These are the outputs of the phase 1, that is design goals, reliability and quality goals, preliminary BOM, preliminary PFC, preliminary listing of special products or process characteristics, and product quality assurance plan, and management support. So outputs are design FMEA, design verification, engineering drawings, engineering specifications, material specifications, that is with respect to IMDS, then and prototype build or control plan, APQP tools. APQP outputs are new equipment facilities and tooling requirements, special product or process characteristics, gauges and testing requirements, and testing requirements, and feasibility analysis or commitment. So let us get into the details of these outputs in detail. So product design and development outputs. So here design failure this is design FMEA. Design FMEA is nothing but a structured analysis methodology. Like you can find this in one of my videos, like I will provide a link in the description box below. And design for manufacturing and assembly. Manufacturing engineering works concurrently with design engineering to ensure that the product design can be manufactured with focus on ease of design. So this also I will define in another video, like I have not yet made a video out of it, but anyhow I will make it soon. So design verification, so it verifies the design product, meets the product design and meets the requirements by performing through thorough testing. It's like utilizing design verification plan and reports to develop a logical testing sequence and document testing activity throughout each phase of product or process development. So design reviews. So design reviews is like regular meetings led by the design engineering, and includes participation of team members and other functions, example supplier quality engineers, manufacturing engineers, technical specialists, etc. includes evaluation of. So this is just nothing but a brainstorming session, okay, or a walkthrough session you can say, like in which like the design or the functional requirements are discussed, and bench test results will be discussed, DFMEA or design defect dependent failure analysis, DFA, and design verification process will be discussed in this one. And prototype build control plan. So here we will have the first level of control plan, that is prototype build control plan will comes into picture. So captures dimensional measurements, material and functional tests required to be carried out during the prototype build. So I think in the next furthermore videos, like I will develop another video for the control plan also. So engineering drawings, so review of drawings to ensure that the adequate information exists of a dimensional output of the individual parts. So clear identification of data surfaces or locators exists. So the next thing is engineering specifications. So there are document that defines the functional requirements, durability requirements, appearance requirements of the component or assembly. So these are a few more outputs, that is material specifications defines the physical properties, performance, environmental handling and storage requirements of the material. Drawing and specification changes, that is must have an adequate process to document and communicate changes to all affected functions. So new equipment, tooling and facilities requirements, that is the design and or volume requirements might dictate the requirement for additional facilities and equipment. Special product and process characteristics are further evaluation of technical data allows the team to solidify the preliminary characteristics identified in the plan and define phase. So Gages and testing equipment requirements are like equipment requirements may be identified at this time. So it is the preliminary or this is like, you know, here we will identify like what are the requirements of the gauges and the testing equipment or the test environment setup requirements. So team feasibility commitment. So the team conducts an assessment of the feasibility of the design, must establish high confidence that the proposed design can be manufactured, assembled, tested, packed and delivered to the customer in sufficient quality, acceptable cost and on schedule. So till now we have discussed about product design and development. So phase 3 is about process design and development. In product design and development we have DFMA, design FMEA. In process design and development we will have process FMEA, that is PFMEA. Okay, anyhow, so the purpose of this phase is to develop an effective management system to ensure or to assure the customers' needs and expectations are met. In this phase, the manufacturing system or the processes or PFMEA and control plans are developed to achieve the right quality products. So inputs are nothing but the outputs of phase 2. Outputs are packaging standards and specifications, product or process quality system review, process flowchart, floor plan layout, characteristics matrix, and PFMEA, process FMEA, pre-launch control plan. This is the second phase of control plan, and process instructions, MSA, that measurement system analysis, and preliminary process capability study plan, and the management support. Process design and development outputs, packaging standards and specifications, design requirements for packaging that ensure product integrity at the point of use. So this is like packaging standards and specifications should be there. The next thing is like process and product quality system review. That means we need to establish a quality system which reviews gauges and testing mechanisms, points of inspection in the process, and capability studies, control documentation adequacy. These are all things we need to check. Then the next thing is PFC, that is we have PFC in the first preliminary PFC. This is a schematic depiction of proposed process, that is process flow chart. In detail we will have in this phase. And then floor plan layout. This is nothing but developed to optimize the material flow, value added use of floor space, identification of storage locations, inspection points, etc. So this floor plan will indicate like will have the details of the inspection points, will have the details of the material or the spares like which are required to assemble. So these all things will be there on that. So PFMEA, that is process FMEA, is nothing, it is performed to review our new or revised process to identify potential issues and the effects which may have and identify actions to mitigate before they occur. So this pre-launch control plan, which identifies the dimensional measurements and functional tests to be performed after prototype and before production control plan or the production phase. Could contain extra product or process controls to be followed until production process is validated. So the next thing is process instructions, detailed instructions on the step to be followed in the assembly or test of the component. So measurement system analysis plan, MSA plan, is nothing but a plan which established to assess gauge compatibility, to measure test parameters and dimensional requirements with accuracy in a repeatable fashion with a component. That is repeatability, and across components, that is reproducibility of the same accuracy and the repeatable fashion. So that you need to see, and establish correlation between gauges where duplicate gauges exist, and preliminary process capability study plan. This is like nothing but the capability of your process, the capability of your machine, the capability of entire manufacturing system. So the plan to perform capability studies on the characteristics identified in the control plan. The characteristics matrix is like a matrix to reflect that the relationship between process parameters and manufacturing stations. So your phase 4 is nothing but process design and development validation. So this is nothing but like the purpose of this phase is to validate the manufacturing process through a production trial run and to finalize the production control plan. During the production trial run process, the product quality planning team verify the control plan and the process flow chart are being followed strictly and ensure that the manufacturing product meet the customer requirements. So for any phase, the major requirement is customer requirement, to meet the customer requirement. Here in the validation process also, we need to ensure that the particular developed product which is verified already to be validated with respect to the customer requirements. This is the phase. And here the inputs are the outputs for the phase 3, but the outputs will vary. That is significant production run, measurement system, evaluation, preliminary process capability study, product part approval, and production validation in testing, packaging evaluation, production control plan, quality planning sign-off, management support. So these are the detailed outputs. That is, significant production run is like must occur at the production facility and performed using production equipment and tooling. Production operators, production gauges, so must be run at production rate. So it is at client environment. Okay, and this is measurement system analysis is nothing but perform equipment and gauge repeatability and reproducibility case studies, repeatability and reproducibility studies previously identified in the MSA plan. So we need to analyze it. So previously it was planned, and here it is performed and being analyzed. And preliminary process capability studies, like we have by this time we have a few capability studies, capability data in place. Like we need to study it, we need to get a preliminary process capability study, performance characteristics identified in the control plan, and provides a measure of the readiness of the process and process for production. Production part approval process, this is nothing but PPAP. So provide evidence to the customer that the production process can consistently produce parts at production rate that meets all customer design records and specifications. So as per the specification, as per the look and feel, as per the functionality of the product, and these many units can be produced at a time. So something like this is all things will be verified in your PPAP. And the next thing is product validation testing. So this validation testing will carry out in the vehicle level. So like in the client environment, like we need to conduct this testing. So on-road testing will comes into picture. Here this engineering tests which are carried out to demonstrate that the products that were made for the production process and tooling meet all customer specifications and requirements, including appearance standards. So packaging evaluation, so conduct a trial run. So we need to, your packaging should be robust in a way, like, even if you throw the product also, it should not get damaged, and there is no waste space inside the packaging system. So these are all things you need to consider. So that the packaging evaluation we need to do based on that. Conduct trial runs to simulate the normal transportation of the product to the customer point of use, to validate that the product will be protected from damage and adverse environmental factors. So even in case of raining, in case of snowstorm, in case of these all things, like we need to consider, we need to simulate the environment, and we need to think like, this package is enough or not. So the next thing is production control plan. This is the third phase of the control plan, that is a written description of systems for controlling production part and processes. Quality planning sign off. So by here, like, we have completed all the quality planning activities. So the event where the cross-functional team conducts a formal process review at the manufacturing facility and secures a sign off by all functions. So phase 5 is nothing but feedback, assessment, and corrective action phase. So the aim of this phase is to make continual improvements in the product and process to enhance customer satisfaction level. So the outcomes of this production trial run are evaluated in this phase to ensure that the products satisfies the customer requirements. So the inputs are nothing but the outputs of phase 4, but the outputs will be reduced variations. So in case of variations, like this thing, like, will reduce variation, improved customer satisfaction, improved delivery and service, effective use of lessons learned and best practices. So these are the outputs. Process validation, process variation or identification, use of statistical process control techniques or the statistical tools to identify process variation and implementation and implement corrective actions to reduce both special cause and common cause sources. So, and the next thing is improved customer satisfaction, obtain feedback from the customer on product usage and make necessary adjustments as required. So source of information include product performance in the customer process or in the field. Like you have to collect the feedback from the end customer on the performance of your product. So you end user. So improved delivery and service. So establish a relationship with the customers, replacement part, and the service operation to ensure that the requirements for cost, quality, and delivery are achieved for service parts. And then effective use of lessons learned. Capture lessons learned and communicate best practices across the organization. Review things where it went wrong, that is things gone wrong, TGW, and things gone right, that is TGR. We need to review both together. And review data from warranty and other process indicators, DFMEA or PFMEA studies, and capture baseline PFMEAs, and cascade across to similar products and processes. So these are the key concepts of APQP, like sourcing confirmation, first one. Second thing is like customer requirements, DFMEA, design, that is design FMEA, design review plan, design verification plan, subcontractor APQP or the supplier APQP, facilities, tools and gauges completed, prototype, build and control plan, prototype, build assessment, final engineering release, manufacturing feasibility sign-off, manufacturing process flow, process FMEA, measurement system evaluation, safe launch control plan, operator process instructions, données of and packaging sign-off, production trial run, production control plan sign off, preliminary process capability studies. So this process capability studies only you can do in a normal phase when you release it to the market or the mass production phase. From then you will get enough data and you will start assessing the data or analyzing the data, and you will get the correct process capability study. And then production validation plan and report, part submission warrant, PSW, or production part approval process, that is PPAP, part submission warrant, MRD, that is manufacturing requirement document at customer plant. So here it is a sample status report, APQP sample, so which you have to get from the supplier, that is company name or the supplier name, program or the product name, what exactly you have delivered for that, means like we have assigned to the customer, tier 1, part number you need to put here, design level, location name, model year, part number, that is tier 1 part number, this is local part number, user plan, and the team members involved in it, company or the title or the phone or the fax or email IDs. APQP status reports, these are the trial run phases like DPPP, MPP, pilot, SOP. These are all things like we need to consider. Like in general, like if you are developing a software, then you will have the milestones, right? The same way you will have the manufacturing, the build level or the build name, like OEM plant level phases. These are. And we will have this all 23 APQP elements we have discussed in the previous slide. So those things like will be listed here, and we will get to know the status of the start date, completion date, percentage completion, the person responsible or responsibility, remarks. These all things we will get to know here. This is the APQP status report example. So hope you got the concept. Like if you like the concept, just click on the like button. If you want further more automotive videos, subscribe to my channel. Thank you.